Looking back at the house he had lived in for his whole life, John Brown felt a deep sense of remorse and defeat. No longer would kids catch frogs and other critters in the nearby pond. No longer would he and his wife sit on the porch watching the sunset over the mountains. No longer would the Brown family live in the small town of Crystal Springs, West Virginia, a place he and his father and their fathers had lived for over 200 years. John had held on for a long time. After the local coal mine had closed 5 years prior, he had tried everything to keep his town and family together. But as family after family left, he knew the inevitable was approaching. And on the fateful day, March 21st, 2080, John was forced to reap what he had sowed 60 years prior on the floor of the House of Representatives. Back then, John was a young freshman representative from West Virginia, ready to make his impact on the government and the rest of the country. He was a charismatic and proud man who had succeeded in everything he attempted throughout his life and expected no different in Congress. John had been elected into the House due to a major bill he had created and promised to get passed, the Coal Protection Bill, nicknamed the CPB. This bill would protect coal in coal mining towns such as Crystal Springs through imposing regulations on coal power plants that would force the plants to have the most up-to-date and cleanest technology. This would be paid for by both the power plants and the government. And with this new technology, coal would no longer be punished for being deadly to the environment, reducing government regulations in the long run, and increasing the coal economy as a whole. The Republicans completely backed the bill, calling it a great leap forward for coal and energy in America. The Democrats, on the other hand, believed that there was no saving coal, as it was bound to run out in the next 100 years, and it was more worth America's money investing in renewable energy. John could have cared less for who supported or didn't support his bill, as long as he got the vote to pass it. He had run under the Republican Party, but only so he could get elected. His bill, he believed, was too important for himself, his family, and coal towns across America to be worried about which party supported it and which didn't. Using news outlets and social media, John made the CPB the talk of America, with people across the country arguing whether it should be passed, revised, or dropped. And on the day of its vote, all of America turned on the news, watching intently for the results. The Republican representative went first, followed by the Democrats, but John could not listen to their robotic speeches, knowing that neither speaker could care less about what the bill would do for people other than raise their own political standing. When the House Majority Leader finally asked him to step up, John couldn't have felt more ready. Finally, he thought, I can make sure my hometown will never die out, and my family will always have a place to call home. He begins his speech. Representatives of Congress, I know when you hear the acronym CPB, your first thought is about coal. But I want you to look deeper than the black carbon rock, deeper than the environmental impacts, deeper than the economic benefits. To the families and towns across the country, coal is a livelihood. Its very existence has created towns and brought together hundreds of thousands of people into tightly knit communities. Yet, in the past 10 years, coal has been on a steady but steep decline. Regulations and a new competitor, natural gas, have quickly invaded the realm of coal. With this invasion comes the closing of coal mines, which in turn leads to the abandoning of once homey coal towns. Where these families go is up to them, but they will never recover the community and the home that they lost. Some of you here may be thinking that this is a good thing, that coal is on the decline. You think you're such a great person for attempting to stop the use of coal. But you ever stop to think who you may be hurting on your path for justice? And justice for who? The environment? If you were truly thinking about the American people instead of just your own political image, you'd see that there's more to America than just the environment. America's citizens should always come first, and this is made easy by the CPB. Instead of being lazy, instead of just trying to look good in the public eye, my bill helps both the environment and the people who rely on coal to have a house and a family. There is new technology that decreases carbon emissions from coal mines to almost 0%, called Carbon Capture and Storage, or CCS for short. With the implementation of this technology through the CPB, which will force power plants to update their plants and fit them with the newest and cleanest technology, we can have a cleaner America that everyone can enjoy and be proud of. Congress sat silently for a second, until one after another, each representative began to applaud. The bill was passed that day, and coal was saved for another century. At least, that's what John thought would happen. When the reports came in from the EIA a year later, coal had not increased in use. It actually continued dropping, but this time at a much quicker pace. John could not believe what he was seeing. This has to be a joke, he thinks. But when one of his secretaries fills him in on what is going on, he realizes the massive mistake he made. His bill does not give enough funding to coal plants, and it actually costs less to refurbish the plant to allow the use of natural gas instead of adding clean coal technology. So instead of plants using clean coal, they were instead using natural gas, and this trend was not going to stop until coal was completely out of use in power plants. John resigned that day and headed home without talking to the news. He tried to hide from his mistake in Crystal Spring, marrying, having 4 children, and living a good life until finally his past caught back up to him. In 2075, the Crystal Springs coal mine closed for the last time, and within just 5 years, John was forced to abandon the town he'd worked so hard to protect, destroyed by his own hands.